So I got served and had court today. It got continued to October 25th. I did agree to the amount, but is there anything you can do? The debt is over 6 years old. Welcome back to my channel. It's your favorite voice on credit, Just Jay Woodfin from jwoodfin.com, the creator of the credit repair industry's most complete and comprehensive DIY credit repair service. We use no template letters ever. My truly AI-driven DIY system is the only DIY system in the market that uses machine learning to create your dispute letters from your credit report. What does that mean to you? Every single credit report it reads, it learns from, using all the information from those credit reports to create more customized letters than it ever did before. Which means you only have a 0.04% chance of getting the same verbiage in your dispute letter as anybody else who's ever used the system before. Simply put, every time you make a letter, it gets smarter. That's real AI. Now, this ain't some sort of experimental or affiliate product that I'm pushing here. I got a 25% ownership stake in this company. This is mine. Since launching this technology in September of 2022, to this point, we've sent over 150,000 letters to the credit bureau. To top it all off, my DIY system is so advanced that you ain't even got to print, stuff, stamp, or even go to the post office and mail your letters. We'll do it for you, as long as you pay for the certified postage. Now, what other DIY system do you know that can do it all? If you want to learn more about my DIY system, just feel free to click the link in the description. It'll also be pinned to the top of the chat. Now, if you can't seem to find it, you can always go to jwoodfin.com/social and get it there. Now, let's go. I've been telling you guys about SoloSuit for about a month or so. Kind of telling you guys how it works. If you have debt collection letters that you're receiving, you need debt validation help. If you're being sued by a debt collector, this is the place that you can go to get legitimate help at an affordable price. So I want to make sure that we get this going pretty good. And the likes are crazy anemic. We got 63 people in here, y'all. I worked really hard to get George on this. George is a busy man. Y'all could throw a like up for your boy for free. Put a like up for me real quick if you can. All right. Doesn't cost you nothing. A like don't cost you nothing. All right, so we got 76 people in here so far. So George, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna introduce you. This is George Simons of SoloSuit, legal debt validation, debt collection help, debt lawsuit help. This company will help you respond, which is more important than pretty much any other part of the process, is to get the response out properly and on time. A lot of you guys are in my inbox on a daily basis, letting me know that you're being sued, telling me that you got collection letters from a debt collector and you don't know what to do. Typically speaking, first thing I would have to do is point you to the NACA website. Here's the NACA website. Put your location in. You can go ahead and find a lawyer, somebody that can help you deal with it from level 1 all the way to level 10. George is level 1. This helps cure a lot of the ills that come with being sued, a lot of the ills that come with dealing with debt collection letters. He is the man, and he has the company that will help you guys deal with that stuff. So I want you guys to get your questions together. I'm going to let George kind of give you a little bit about what he wants to tell you guys, and then we'll open it up for questions for about 20 minutes. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for the intro, Jay. So I'm George, one of the founders of SoloSuit. We help people respond to and resolve debt lawsuits. So far, we've helped people respond to almost $1 billion in debt lawsuits. We're at $988 million so far. Going to get to $1 billion maybe this week in a couple days. If you guys come over to our website and let us help you out. Basically, the process, right? So if you've been sued for a debt, just going over briefly how to respond to and win your debt lawsuit. It starts when you receive a summons and complaint. Usually you'll receive those personally. Someone like hands them to you. They're like, I got a pizza for you. Surprise, it's not a pizza. It's a lawsuit inside a box. They're like, hand you the lawsuit, or you might receive it in mail. Or sometimes they send it to like your mom's house and you don't actually find out about it for a while. Once you get the summons and complaint, you got to respond with the answer document. So it's a capital A answer document. It's like a formal legal document. And you can create that on our site. You just want to create an answer, respond to the summons and complaint, and then file that in court and with the opposing attorney. So you can do that on our site. We make it real easy. It takes you about 15 minutes on SoloSuit.com. And then once you've responded to the lawsuit, most people want to settle the debt, right? If you agree that you like owe a portion of the debt, or you're familiar with the debt, it's actually like your debt in some way, then you'll want to settle. We have a product called SoloSettle that makes it easy. You can send an offer to the collector to settle the debt. And hopefully, the idea is to settle it for maybe 40 or 60% of the face value. Right now, most debts that are lawsuits with us settle for about 64%. So if you're being sued for $10,000, you can settle it for $6,400 and save yourself a bunch of money on Solo Settle. So that's the quick rundown, right? Lawsuit starts when you get a summons and complaint. You got to respond by filing an answer, and then you can make an offer to settle and get it wrapped up. So that's the brief overview. Happy to dive into the questions.
Cool. Does anybody have any questions for George while we have him on the live? You guys be in my inbox every day. Please utilize this opportunity to get the questions from the horse's mouth, right from the source. If you guys don't have any questions, George, I'll start off with one of the most frequent questions. How long does it take for you guys to prepare a response for somebody who needs to respond to a debt collection letter?
Yeah, it takes anywhere between 1 to 8 days. Most of our documents we're getting filed in like 1 to 2 days. If you come in, basically it's dependent on a few factors. So if you come to us and you're in a state that makes it easy for us to e-file, we're going to e-file and we're going to get that done pretty much immediately.
Okay.
But most courts are a little bit antiquated, kind of old school, so we have to file by mail oftentimes. And then that with our SoloSuit premium package, we file it by USPS 2 to 3 day mail. So it takes the 2 to 3 days to get to the court.
Okay.
And a lot of the filing time depends on how responsive you are to us. So if someone comes in and they're like responsive, they make sure everything is filled out properly on our website, they respond to our emails, we're able to get those things filed for them a lot quicker.
Okay. What information do you need from a person who is seeking your help in order to properly facilitate the process for a debt response, for a collection letter response?
Yeah, we need quite a bit of information, really.
Okay.
So the process on the website starts off where you basically give us the information from the complaint and summons. So it'll be like your name, the collector's name, the court name, the amount of the lawsuit, some things like that. And then you got to tell us how you want to respond to the summons and complaint. So you tell us like which paragraphs in the documents you want to deny or admit. So the complaint document will have numbered paragraphs, usually like 15 paragraphs with numbers next to them.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to respond to each one of those individually. You have to tell us if you want to deny it, admit it, or just say, I don't know, to the paragraph.
Okay. These are numbered out. These are numbered out on a site where people can just kind of, it's a templated thing where people don't have any guesswork.
Yeah, we make it easy for you to respond, but on the complaint, it's pretty confusing. It'll have like a paragraph where it's like, number 1, defendant's name is John Smith. Number 2, defendant owes plaintiff $10,000.
Okay.
And then you have to respond to each one of those, and we make it easy on the website to do that.
Okay, cool.
And then you got to let us know what defenses you want to make. Like, did you already pay off this debt? Are they suing the wrong person? Did you never receive like the service that they said they were going to give you? Did they serve you improperly? And there's just like multiple choice kind of like questions. You just click the button on our site and let us know which one of those apply. And then we create the answer document for you and we get it filed in court.
Okay, sweet. We have a question from Edgar Vasquez. How much does it cost?
Yeah, so we have a tiered service. Most of the time people are going to our premium service, which is a lot cheaper than a lawyer. So litigation attorney is usually going to cost about $3,000 to get started. They'll charge you like $3,000 retainer up front just to lift their finger to get moving on the case. For us, we're able to do it for only $247, where you'll create the answer document on our site. We'll have an attorney review the document, make sure everything's good to go, make sure you put in all the information correctly and appropriately. And then we'll file it for you in court. Below that, there's also like a standard service for $40. The prices are subject to change. By the way, we do play around with our prices. So this is just the prices of today. Blue Standard's about $53 right now, and then you can generate your document for free actually on our site.
Okay. I have another question. How do you get to an attorney if you're being sued by a debt collector?
How do you get to an attorney?
Yeah.
Well, I think the main route with SoloSuit is that you don't really need an attorney exactly like to fully represent you. You can come to SoloSuit.com. We'll you'll use our software to create your answer. We make it real easy, and then we connect you with an attorney to review the document. Um, so we're really just getting you like the attorney for the part that you really want an attorney for.
Okay.
And because of that, we're able to do it for a lot lower cost
You're
for you.
cutting out a lot of the fat in the process with
Exactly. Yeah. And
with
then
with the usage of the attorney.
yep. And then after filing an answer, a lot of people try settling so that they don't have to go to court. They don't have to file additional documents. Right. They just settle on our site as well.
Okay. As far as the settlement portion of it, does the settlement actually have any clause in there where they're trying to get the item removed from the credit report as well, or is it just completely independent of the credit report?
Usually, we don't negotiate that term as far as getting it removed from the credit report right now. We find that most of the time, collectors are going to take care of that, like in the way that's appropriate. So if it's a delinquent debt, then you'll pay it off, and then on the settlement, and then we will have uh, basically the collector will have that outlined in the settlement agreement, and they will file with the credit bureau that the debt has been paid and settled. Uh, and then oftentimes that's removed from your credit report because it's been paid and settled.
Okay.
Sometimes it'll remain on your credit report, uh, but generally speaking, like the appropriate thing is done in that case.
Okay. If I'm being sued by a debt collector and I seek out SoloSuit's help to help me respond to the law to help me respond to the lawsuits, what are some of the do's and don'ts of that particular process for me, the consumer?
If you're responding to a collector,
That's correct. I'm using you guys to respond to a lawsuit. I'm being sued by a debt collector.
what are the do's and don'ts?
What are the so I go to you guys, I pay the 247, we start the process. At that particular point in time, what am I to do and what am I not to do to make the process go
Yeah,
s- go
yeah.
smooth?
Number one thing is to come to us early, right? Come to us as soon as you've been sued. Right. So if you get the documents, you want to come to our site immediately. Fill out the questions on our website and get your answer rolling like ASAP.
Okay.
Right. You just want to make sure that it's in on time. You don't want to wait. You want to get it going.
Okay.
That's the main thing to do. On the flip side of that, right, the thing not to do is to like sit on it and not do anything, right?
Right.
So we help people get stuff done. If you don't do anything, a lot of bad things happen, right? So if you don't do anything, if you don't respond to the lawsuit, then the collector will get a judgment against you by default. So you automatically lose your case. That judgment will never expire, basically. So they'll once it expires in your state, they actually can infinitely renew it. So if you make money or have assets ever again in your
You
life,
mean as long as the judgment is unsatisfied,
yeah, as long as it's unsatisfied,
they
right?
can continue to okay.
Yep. And then they'll file for garnishment against your wages. The federal maximum for garnishment is 25%. So
Mhm.
most of the time they can take up to 25% of your paycheck. So they'll like contact your employer. The employer, instead of sending money to you, the employer will send 25% of your paycheck directly to the collector.
Okay.
They'll also be able to garnish your bank accounts oftentimes, depending on your state. So if you have money in an account, they'll be able to come after that. They'll also get liens against your property, like your house or your car. Uh, so, like if you sell your house in the future, money will go first to the collector instead of to you to pay off that debt. Uh, Plus, they'll add statutory interest, oftentimes around like 10% interest rate on top of the credit card interest rate, making just that debt pile up and balloon into an even larger size. So those are some of the bad things that happen if you don't respond. If you do respond, you can get the case dismissed, or you can settle for a lot less and save yourself from those additional costs.
Okay. Um, Edgar has another question or statement. So I got served and had court today. It got continued to October 25th. I did agree to the amount, but is there anything you can do? The debt is over 6 years old.
Um, It got continued to October 25th, but you did agree to the amount. I guess main question is, why did it get continued? I'm not sure why that would be. I think in your case, we mostly help with so we help with responding and as well as settlement. So you can come on our site, SoloSuit.com, and click the settle a lawsuit button, and then get started and make an offer to settle. Right? If you didn't make an offer to settle already to the lawyer, you can do that on our site, and settle for maybe send an offer for 40 or 60% of the debt.
Okay.
And that'll be better than fooling around with trial dates and all that stuff.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? If you have a question, if you'd like to come up and ask George a question yourself, you can do that as well. I'll put the link inside the chat and let you guys ask him yourself, just in case you don't want to put it in text. Now, George, I do have a question that I got emailed from somebody who actually went to SoloSuit's website, but was a little bit, I don't want to say confused, but they had some questions about the additional fees that they might incur on top of any fees that SoloSuit has. Are there any other filing fees?
Yeah, there are other filing fees. Yeah, sometimes some states charge a filing fee, unfortunately, right? So it's a fee charged by the courts, not charged by SoloSuit. For example, California, where a lot of our customers are, most of our customers, it charges an additional filing fee between $188 to $450, which is pretty crazy. But if you're sued in California for a debt, you have to pay the state mandated filing fee just to respond. So we calculate that fee for you. It's tremendously difficult to calculate the fee, honestly. We calculate it for you, and then our customers pay us the fee, and then we transfer it on to the court with the filing for you. So we make that process a lot easier. Only a minority of states, only like about 15 states or 25 states charge a filing fee, and we calculate that for you.
Okay, cool. Dom East has a question. What if you have a judgment but was not properly served?
Yeah, if you have a judgment but you weren't properly served, we get that question quite a bit. What you do is you file a motion to set aside judgment, sometimes called a motion to vacate judgment. We have some templates. If you come to our site and you can email us from our website or chat with us, we can set you up with that template. You fill out the motion to set aside judgment, and then you also complete our answer document, and we can get that all filed in the court for you. Motion to set aside judgment asks the judge to set aside the judgment, right? To remove the judgment that's against you because you never had an opportunity to respond because you weren't properly served. It works frequently. It has like a really high success rate. Most judges will accept the motion to set aside judgment if you weren't properly served and give you a second chance. You want to make sure you do it before there is a garnishment against you.
Okay. What qualifies as an improper serving of a judgment?
Yeah, it totally varies from state to state. But basically, if you aren't aware of the lawsuit, it's pretty likely that you're improperly served.
Can you prove that you're not aware of it? Let's just say that they have a bunch of old addresses, right? And they've been attempting to reach you at every other address. What qualifies as you not, or you being able to prove that you didn't get served or that you weren't aware of it?
Yeah, good question. Let me think about like a really common scenario. A lot of our customers are improperly served in one way or the other. We call it generally like sewer service, where the collector, like instead of serving you, they just shove the documents down the sewer, right? Instead of actually getting them to you.
Okay.
It's quite a bit. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes not on purpose. Like probably the most common, or probably the most like a clear scenario of improper service is, let's say they serve you at an old address and they serve someone that is under 18 at that address. Most states pretty consistently require the person to receive the documents to be over 18 and like capable of mind. But if they serve someone's kid, or if they serve like your child at your house, that would be improper service. That's one that's clearly improper. Usually, if they're sending it by mail to a bad address, to like an old address, that can likely be improper service as well.
Okay. Kasha Phillips says, "What about student loans? I don't know." Hey, Bella Rose. I don't know what about student loans mean, but is there anything you can tell us about dealing with student loans through your service?
Yeah. People come to us for student loans all the time.
Okay.
It's mostly people coming to us for what's called unsecured credit, so credit card debt, personal loans, student loans, medical debt. That's like the most frequent. Also, quite a few auto loans as well.
Okay.
We totally help with student loans. If you're being sued for student loans, you can come to us. You just respond. The process is pretty much the same. So
What are some of the results with the student loan if you're being sued for a student loan outstanding, whether it's private or governmental? What are some of the results that they can expect? Because student loan debt is one of the debts that you can't just make evaporate. So, what are some of the expected results from that particular?
yeah, so you can't make student loans evaporate from bankruptcy. Like if you file bankruptcy, student loans are
Mhm.
still going to be there.
Right.
However, if you win a lawsuit with student loans, like so, if someone sues you for student loans, you file an answer, you get the case dismissed with prejudice, which does happen. That means that they can't sue you again if it's with prejudice for the student loans. Then
Right.
you're effectively like safe from that debt. And that's a real good outcome that we see people get. Um,
Although the debt itself doesn't go away, you're safe from being sued, garnished, any of that stuff.
yeah, they effectively at that point in
Hmm,
time are powerless to collect the debt from you. Yeah,
very
like
interesting.
the debt still exists, and they can still bother you about it.
Right.
Once you've won a lawsuit with prejudice, then there's really nothing else they can do. That's like
Right.
the road. Um, on student loans, uh, yeah, even with student loans, even though they can't be deleted through bankruptcy, you can still settle them. We have people settle them uh, from time to time for sure. Most of our people come to us with credit card debt, but student loans are common. And I have we've just been looking at the amount of money that we've been saving people. I mean, we've got some good results just recently as
Okay.
far as like people who file an answer and then settle their debt. I think just today we saw one person who managed to save $15,000, $15,500 after using our service. Right, they were sued for a debt. It was a pretty
Right.
significant one, and then they settled, saved themselves $15,000. Got
Yeah.
another person who saved themselves $1,012 recently. Let's see. We got one for 4,421 savings. So pretty significant amounts of
Great.
this debt just get hacked off when you use our service to respond and then settle.
Okay. So, guys, what I want to do is I want to kind of reset a little bit for those who have just joined us or whatever the case is. I know we got about maybe 5-10 minutes left with George. The reason why I partnered with SoloSuit and why it was so important for me to do this is because I was tired of sending you guys to random NACA website attorneys. It didn't settle, it didn't sit right in my soul to not be able to offer you a solution that I knew could work and just leave you out to a random attorney that could possibly charge you an arm and a leg for a service that I know can be done for a nominal fee. Number one. Number two, the reason why this was important for me to get this relationship with George and his company is because oftentimes through credit repair, you'll go through the process and you'll be left with debt that has not been resolved, or you'll be left with accounts that were not resolved, or you'll be sued during the credit repair process. Both of those things happen. At that particular point in time, once again, I did not have a service to send you guys to. And even though, I don't make much dealing with George and SoloSuit, it does bring another whole arm to my company that can provide a hell of a service to you guys who trust me with your finances and honestly with your identities as well. It's important for me to be able to refer you to resources that are trustworthy and that work. So if you guys are familiar with me, those of you who've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I'm always going to try to bring you the most cost saving, fastest, and legitimate resources that I can. Okay. So that's why I'm on this live call with George right now. George, I do have another question. I'm being sued because my identity was stolen. What do I do?
Yeah, that happens frequently. We see a lot of people coming to us in that situation. And in that situation, I think that leads to a large number of dismissals for us, right? So about 25% of our cases get dismissed just after filing an answer. Uh, For people who owe a portion of the debt, we definitely recommend settling and trying to settle. If you don't owe the debt, you know, not much reason to settle.
Right.
So if your identity has been stolen, you've been sued, we recommend using our service, respond to the lawsuit, and then try to get the case dismissed. Basically, respond to the lawsuit, try to get to a hearing. In the hearing, you explain the plaintiff has to make the case and prove that you actually are the person that owed the debt, right? So in the legal terms, there's this idea of burden of proof.
Mhm.
The plaintiff has the burden of proof, so they have to prove that you owe the debt. It's not up to you to prove that you don't owe the debt. They have to prove that you actually owe the debt. And oftentimes in hearings, they aren't able to do that. They aren't able to show sufficient documentation that you actually owe the debt, especially if you don't actually owe the debt, right? If someone stole your identity and got the debt and you did not. So for example, we just had a woman who had a lawsuit against American Express. American Express was suing her. You know, American Express is one of the biggest corporations in the world. She's being
Right.
sued just as an individual. She used SoloSuit to respond. We helped her win against one of the biggest corporations in the world. She was being sued for $35,000 as a result of identity theft. She filed an answer with SoloSuit. She got the entire case dismissed, saved herself $35,000.
Wow,
Okay.
that is ultra rare. And anybody who works in the credit repair community will know dealing with banks like Chase, American Express, those are the titans. Those are the ones you don't cross. So the ability to deal with that type of stuff on that scale is invaluable. George, can you kind of explain the difference between your debt settlement option versus like the normal, you know what I'm talking about? Those other debt settlement companies out there that I rail against. What makes yours a more usable, more palatable experience?
Yeah, a few things that lead people to come to us, right? So oftentimes, the number one thing is that we protect you in litigation, right? So you can use our service to respond to a lawsuit. Oftentimes, a lot of our customers come to us after having used a debt settlement firm of some sort. They come to us because the debt settlement firm won't represent them when they're getting sued,
Right.
right? So they come to us, they respond, and then once they respond, now the debt settlement firm knows that they're serious, and the debt settlement firm realizes, oh, we actually do have to settle because it's going to cost us too much money to go through this lawsuit. So that's the number one thing. On our settlement service, which is a little bit of a new service, we don't advertise it as widely, but it is a good program. You can sign up with a single account at any dollar amount. So with a debt settlement service, usually you have to meet some kind of a minimum, like $15,000 in debt, to sign up with them. With us, you can come to us if you have a $1,000 debt. You can enroll that and you can try to settle it just by itself. You don't have to sign up all of your accounts with us. You can just do one, and there's no minimum.
Cool. All right. So, guys, this has been 30 minutes with George Simons of SoloSuit, legal debt validation, debt settlement, lawsuit settlement help. This has been an amazing experience, George. I appreciate you, man. Before I let you go, do you mind if I check to see if anybody else has any questions whatsoever?
For sure. Yep.
Guys, if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat now. If in fact you don't have any questions and you got some value from this, can you guys please put a 2 in the chat? If you guys got any value from this whatsoever, put a 2 in the chat. If you did, not only will we have George back, but we will have more professionals like attorneys, FCRA attorneys, and things like that, so that we can get you guys the most legitimate information. I'm not interested in being the professional here. I'm interested in helping you the best way I can, which is to sometimes know my weaknesses and then hire the professionals or bring the professionals to you guys so that you guys can utilize them to get the information that you need properly. Other than that, I appreciate you guys for coming and joining me on this live. George, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy, dude.
Jay, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, my man. We'll do it again soon.
Love what you're doing. Take care.
All right. Take care.